They didn't need someone to jump off that and do that kind of stunt. At the end of that, the biggest thing for me was actually the changing character for Sami Zayn. That had more impact on me than Shane jumping off of that. He could have been jumping off the turnbuckle and missed for the impact it had on me.
Sure, as it did me. I was quite shocked by the whole thing, but I thought, well, at least it's something for him to be doing, because he's got a bit sort of dried up, that's for sure. Since he's been over there, so I wasn't sure where he was going to go. They're just going to give this guy as a baby face, a sort of baby meat guy who's going to go out there and kiss babies and hug and all the rest of it. But at least he's doing something now, I suppose. But yeah, like you say, it made more of an impact for me than the whole entire match between those two guys. Yeah, I didn't think it helped Kevin Owens at all. I didn't think it was like, oh, he gets this name, so it's all about. Listen, I know people will go, well, Vince McMahon had matches, but come on, Vince McMahon and Shane. Now, I'm not doubting Shane has more ability than Vince. Don't get me wrong there. He's got bags of ability. And the guy, listen, I'll give my hats off to Shane. He is daring. He does take risks. He's not doesn't seem to be scared of too much. I'll take my hat off to that. But in terms, Matt, of who fans really want to see, I think Vince McMahon easily will destroy Shane McMahon, because let's face it, this was in a time when you had the hottest Stone Cold Steve Austin against his boss. It had never been done before, never. Nowadays, it's always about authority and that. They replay this over and over again. But at the time it happened, Matt, the Attitude Era, this hadn't been done. We'd never seen anybody like an Austin, a rebellious character, oppose the authority in such a way where he was getting babyface reactions to him beating up an old man, a non-wrestler, in the ring. And everybody, all you wanted to see was Vince get his ass kicked, Vince take the stunner. That's what it was all about. And, listen, it's not even about having a great match. It's just about get people wanting to see it. And I do not think people want to see Shane that badly. I think people wanted to see Vince get his ass kicked. They wanted to see the stunner. Even Vince's matches with Shawn Michaels. I mean, listen, you go back and watch that match that Shawn had with Vince. Even that, now Vince is hardly doing anything in it, but that comes across better to me than what we got here. Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 19 comes across better to me, because there was just that huge backlog of 20 years worth of story. There was real thing in it. Now, if what I tell you, this is the only thing people really want to see, Matt. This is the one thing I'll guarantee you. For all the die-hard fans, they probably want to see Triple H and Shane, and they want to see a feud where there's some truths being said. Oh, when I left the company, you seem to have snuck in the back, and then Triple H can say he's bit back to him. Since you've been back, you've been given everything, and I'd love to see that. Some real kind of, because I genuinely believe there is some real sort of grudge between those two, and if there isn't, then listen, you could easily work it in so that there is, and fans love that, where there's a little bit of realism to it, where it's a little bit bitey, that you think, oh, maybe, okay, we know the match isn't legitimately real, but maybe when they said that to one another, they did mean it, or maybe they weren't supposed to say that. That is probably the only feud they've got, Matt, where I'm going to be intrigued in seeing a match between two people. And the feud, more or less, would be Hunter and Shane, just because I think there's some real material to use from the sort of real world. Is there anyone else other than... I mean, what about you, Matt? Let's say Triple H. Is that something you'd want to see? Or is there anybody else other than Triple H, Matt? Or maybe you don't want to see Triple H. I'm sure you don't. I mean, I'm not saying Triple H has to, but in terms of Shane, is there anybody else out there, Matt, that you can think of that we now want to see Shane get over? Because I don't think he helps out other guys in any way.
Not at all. I think he's been through quite a list of people already here. And,
yeah.
Just the fact that he got to fight the Undertaker, that was a real shock to me.
The replacement for John Cena.
I think you're totally right there. I think though the last logical option is Triple H, but then that also cuts both ways because I think Triple H is getting to the point now where he comes back for his WrestleMania match, and that's great for him. And I do enjoy watching Triple H. It's just he's running out of people that make sense for him to fight. That last one we saw with Seth Rollins, and that was particularly painful because it felt like they had to construct a whole feud out of nothing just to make that happen. So I feel like it's best when it works naturally, and like you said, that feud between them two, there's something natural to draw off. You know, it has got that essence of realism about it, so that would be a lot better. And I don't really think they need Shane as a sort of TV personality. If he wants to have a role in the company, fine, but we haven't seen Stephanie on TV for ages now, you know, and it's just been flowing quite naturally. I think at the rate that Shane is, if he wants to have this much impact, he might as well sign up and be part of the active roster.
Yeah, you wonder why he doesn't. You know, might as well just go on SmackDown every week. The way he's going, sure he'll be in line for a title shot next year if we're not careful. Could be the Royal Rumble winner. I mean, you know, maybe stake a bet on that one. But okay, well, Matt, is there anything else that I'm missing out? I mean, I know that we can't cover everything because we just do not have the time. But is there anything crazy on the SmackDown side of things, Matt, that is worth mentioning that springs in your mind as we go through this?
No, not really. I mean, I think we've covered a lot of that. I mean, I'm sure there's lots that we're missing. But the stuff that sticks out in my mind, I think we've said our piece on that.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, let's jump over to the Raw side then, and you know, in particular, Matt, let's start with the female division because Alexa Bliss is certainly the new face of all this, and you know, the feuds. Obviously, Matt as well. Just, you know, whilst we're sort of going sort of back to sort of SmackDown and Raw, just the women, Asuka, of course, making, you know, this debut, Matt. I just want to focus with the women here slightly. You know, she's on there. How have you made the sort of matches that she's been having? Because I had a few people email me and they're like, why is Emma getting the matches? Why does it seem so difficult for her to beat Emma? It doesn't, you know. And again, is this a thing where people have just watched her on NXT and thinking she could destroy this sort of thing? You know, I don't know. What do you think, Matt, of the way they're introducing her so far?
It always harks back to what we said about the NXT thing, isn't it? She had to build a name for herself down there. It seems like she's having to do the same thing again. Have her fight some of the lower profile women first, and then work her way up the ranks, which isn't so bad. It gives Alexa Bliss a little bit more time with that title because we all know eventually Asuka's gunning for that title, and once he has it, it's all going to be about who will be the first to dethrone her. So I'm sure they're in no rush to get to that point just yet. Yeah.
Well, now you talk about that being the sort of payoff match down the line. Let's say, you know, ideally be a WrestleMania type. But where does that leave Sasha Banks and Bayley, Matt? Because I want to touch on the whole Ronda Rousey here. Now, you know, we talk about Ronda a lot on our podcast. We have a big UFC contingent with us, and you know, it's always like, what's going on next? And you know, but one thing we haven't spoke about is we've seen obviously, you know, the women's tournament where Ronda's been present. Of course, she's been there with the other Four Horsemen women, and then there was this very cringy WWE.com exclusive footage where we saw the four of them. We saw Bayley for some reason acting as if she was like in as you put it, Matt, in a schoolyard type of sizing each other out. No lines, no dialogue, just looking at each other, and then walked off again. And then nothing materialised from that. And I was like, well, you know, what is the point? And that looks stupid. You could do so much more with this. In a ring, you would get so much exposure from, you know, so many different outlets of media. But they decided to do this. Clearly, for me, Matt, I don't know who come up with that, but they need to really rethink how they're doing things here. That was horrible. I'm kind of glad that nothing's come of it, even though it's really inconsistent. But I just was thinking that looked horrible. What do you think, Matt, with the whole Bayley and Sasha thing, just to begin with, Matt? Because as individuals, what are they going to be able to do with these two now? I mean, are they both going to have to be heels? I mean, what's going to happen here, do you think?
Yeah, it's an awkward position for them. But, I suppose, in a way, we might not be too far off one of their superstar shake-ups. So maybe that might give them an opportunity to reshuffle things and have some fresh opponents, because between the two of them, they've been through that roster about 4 times over now.
Yeah.
The matches are becoming very limited, especially with people like Nia Jax. We don't know when she'll return or what her future holds at the moment. So you might be ending up with a smaller roster than you had before.
Yeah.
So I think they do need to freshen things up in that direction. But I feel like there's room for Sasha, because she can chop and change. She could become face or she could become a heel. And that's just as natural for her. Mm-hmm. But with Bayley, you're very restricted. It has to be face. I mean, I'll be very shocked if they turned it heel, because she just has that appeal as a face, and that's where they make their money from her, because she has that connection with children. In this PG era, they don't really jeopardise that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, certainly not. It's but you just think she's been, both of them, they're so average now. They lose matches left, right, and centre. There's no protection of them two anymore, in my opinion. Alexa Bliss, Matt, are you a fan of her? How do you think she's done? I don't mind. I think she's quite good on the mic. She's got the attitude and everything else. But are you buying all this and her as a performer, Matt? Where do you rate her in terms of the sort of women's division? Is she as good as Charlotte? Is she as good as Sasha was and Bayley? It seems weird that we're talking about her above these people, but is she as good as that, Matt?
I think she's pretty good. She can work with anyone on that roster, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think her mic work is really good. It's just, I don't think she's the crown jewel that they're portraying as. I get the impression that Vince really likes her.
Yeah.
I think he definitely has
higher
plans for her.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe that's what he's seeing. Now, you touched on Nia Jax there, Matt. Obviously, been in the news recently that she's walked out. We don't know officially what's gone on, but we definitely know she hasn't been around and that she's taken herself out. And she may have even been in contact with family member The Rock, which is a good ally, Matt, when you're having these problems, because listen, Rock has had a very on-off relationship with WWE over the years as well, and if she's gone to him for advice, he's not exactly going to just be pro WWE. He's going to be looking out for her. Nia Jax, Matt, just as a performer, how do you rate her? Is she as good as, should she be getting better? Should she be doing, because we're led to believe she didn't agree with the whole pre-show thing and what was going to be happening there. I mean, does she have a right to be like that, Matt? Or where do you sit with how this is? From what we're led to believe, we don't know anything official, but do you think she's as good as what we're led to believe here, that she's got a point?
Yeah, I do. I mean, she has that presence about her, and just her sheer size, and her athleticism to go with that is great. And I can see the progression in her week in and week out. Every time I see that ring, I do get the impression that she is improving. So it's hard to say where her potential ends. So I think it would be a shame if she was to actually seek out opportunities elsewhere, because I feel like her career is really just starting to take off. I mean, they have been sort of halting her momentum here and there, but I don't really feel like the WWE was ever burying her, so to speak.
Yeah.
I feel like they were just holding fire on actually giving her that opportunity to run with the title, because once they do that again, it all becomes about who will be the first person to take it away from her. And when they portray someone as a dominant heel, you had to crush the other talent, and I don't think they were willing to do that.
Yeah, I tell you, out of all the women that are there now, maybe other than Charlotte, she would be money in somewhere like Japan. She would be absolute box office with the women's division, not just women's division, but women's promotions, because of her size and her look. They love that monster type feel, and she would be literally working like a kind of almost just as a Brock Lesnar type thing, like a Braun, just in a she'd hardly be doing anything, just be crushing people. Be very easier work for her, I'm sure, in Japan. But they would absolutely lap her up. So, I think if she's really thinking about herself as a career, there is probably elsewhere she can go now and make some pretty decent